Good evening and welcome to another Fortean Words. Yeah, you'll notice like a distinct lack of people. This week it's just me on my own. Yeah, so you got a solo episode with loads of stuttering and yeah, enjoy, people. That's weird. I've gone down from 7 to 1. Okay, interesting. Right, give me 1 sec. I should have done this before because I should have realised that I was on my own. So I shall throw out a tweet. There we go. So everyone on Twitter knows that I'm live, and I shall open Telegram. And also my dinner's going to be here in a minute, which is going to be quite funny because I'm going to have to try and eat and read. There we go. So that's me live. So that's it. Everybody knows now. This is, like I say, this is going to be a rubbish episode. Hobbit is indeed away trucking. He's off murdering prostitutes like the Ripper. It was on a previous episode of ours. Yeah, I was reading the latest Fortean Times. This is June 2022. FT 419. Very interesting bit. Like I don't know whether you guys remember, but a while ago we did Oklahoma City. This is. On his work laptop, Discord is blocked. Otherwise, he'd join me. Well, you got a phone, didn't you, Ian? Yeah. So it's Dom around. Dom will appear in a minute. He'll come and rescue me. He normally does. So anyway, the latest 14. I found a really interesting piece because we did the Oklahoma City bombing. I thought I'd just do some sort of like recap, like / bits and bobs episode. So anyway, unhappy anniversaries. Anniversaries are of particular significance in the conspirasphere. It sometimes seems as if competing sects and conspiracists count time from different beginnings. So many years since JFK, so many years since 9/11, and so on. And sometimes anniversaries occur on anniversaries, laying layered telescopy onto the complex numerology of deep events. Because I think 9/11 has got like loads of events. I'd come on, but I know fuck all. Thanks, North Zealand. One such, I'll be alright. I'm sure I'll manage to entertain you. One such date occurred recently on the 19th of April 1995. The Alfred P. Murrah building in downtown Oklahoma City was ground zero for a terrorist attack. In the words of Isaac Clarke in Dead Space, that was no terrorist attack. Terrorist attack. The worst at that point in US history. 168 people lost their lives, including 19 children and infants. An estimated 700 more were injured. Apart from the Murrah building, a large complex of federal offices, some 300 buildings in the city were damaged. The bombing was carried out on a significant, some might say ominous anniversary. 2 years earlier, 19th of April 1993, the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, was destroyed by fire after a 51-day siege by FBI, ATF, that's Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms and Explosives, and police forces. Again, the death toll was horrific. 75 people died in the inferno that raged through the compound, including 25 children. Waco probably does deserve its own episode because what went on was like, I don't know. I think it's more criminal than conspiratorial. Definitely some ATF need to be upon some charges. Since the events of 9/11, these two tragedies have perhaps faded from the public memory. But in the conspirasphere, they are still luminous with meaning. For some, they are merely poignant milestones in the history of deep state tyranny. For others, they are bellwethers for the grandest false flag of them all. And for a dedicated few, they are the subject of investigations that continue to this day, and continue to throw up new evidence and anomalies. Anomalies there certainly were. Strangeness was prevalent on the day of the Oklahoma attack, and lingered at the site and in people and places connected to it for a long time afterwards. Some of the strangeness that took on a macabre touch of comedy, but in the main it was simply and only macabre. One story from the time which I was recently reminded of concerns legs. Doctors and surgeons working to treat the injured put out a peculiar message a few days after the attack. They treated 8 people for traumatic amputations of the leg, i.e. the legs had been blown off or severed in the blast. but they recovered a total of 9 severed legs from the scene. To this day, the identity of the leg's erstwhile owner has not been established. Now known as Jane Doe, the principal Synodoche in action, the leg persists in an Oklahoman freezer, a rather grim parody of the 90s fashion for cryonics. Oh, excuse me. Cryonics. Among the 168 listed fatalities, the strangest death is that of Mike Loudenslager, pictured at left. Loudenslager was the security manager for the Murrah building. In the weeks leading up to the bombing, he was seen on a number of occasions arguing with the ATF officers who used the building as their headquarters. He claimed that they had brought large amount of arms and munitions, which he said was illegal and presented a clear and present danger to the occupiers. A number of people reported that he had warned them to remove their children from the daycare centre in the building, thus at least reducing the tragic number of young deaths. On the morning of the bombing, Loudenslager was in court less than half a mile away. He rushed to the scene to help rescue people. He was seen by multiple witnesses there. He was also seen arguing vehemently with men dressed in the apparel of ATF officers who had appeared after the bomb went off. Curiously, the ATF team had been absent from the building at the time of the explosion. On the Sunday after the bombing, which occurred on a Wednesday, Loudenslager was found dead at his desk on the first floor of the Murrah building. The official story at first was that he had died in the attack and his body had been overlooked. But as people came forward to say they'd seen him at the scene of the day of the bombing, the story changed. Loudenslager, it claimed, had returned to the building at some point between Wednesday and Sunday, sat at his desk, and had been killed by falling debris. More strangers at the scene, local Dr. Don Chumley, who ran a clinic close to the site, arrived quickly and began treating victims. During the morning, he was approached by men in ATF jackets, clearly uninjured, who asked him to apply bandages to them. Van too far away and too small to see. Yeah. We did a whole episode on it. Rock's very, very sceptical. Where was it? The men refused, saying he had real injury. Yeah, so who asked him to apply bandages to them. He refused, saying he had real injuries to deal with. Again, this incident was witnessed by a number of people. The men then approached another doctor at the scene with the same request. Chumley intervened and told them he would report them to the police if they didn't desist. Several months later, in September '95, Chumley, an experienced pilot, was flying a Cessna. This is where it comes in. This is where it's a companion piece to the Bill Clinton to the Clintons episode, because Chumley, an experienced pilot, was flying a Cessna light aircraft. He asked air traffic control for permission to increase the altitude. Hold on, dinner's here. I'll have to eat and talk. Chumley was an experienced pilot and was flying a Cessna light aircraft. He asked air traffic control for permission to increase altitude, and as they talked, his plane went into a sudden vertical nosedive and crashed. Crash investigators could find no mechanical reason for the accident, and Chumley did not appear to have suffered a heart attack or similar debilitating problem. In all, the number of mysterious deaths associated with the OKC bombing is estimated by some commentators to be as high as 30. The cases of police officer Terence Yeakey and Kenneth Trentadew are probably the most famous, but there are plenty of others. I don't have the space here for the numerology of the event. The numbers 19 and 34 feature heavily, but it's a phenomenon in its own right. Tragedy, it seems, particularly that caused by crime or terrorism, is a magnet for strangeness of many orders. Right, I'm going to have to find something to play you guys, because there's no way I can eat and talk. What do we got? Coral Castle. Fairy Coral Castle. Alternative energy. So this is This is something that Hobbit has put in here. Right, turn that on. Right, pop that in. Right, this might be a bit boring. I haven't even checked it. Fundamentals of photovoltaics. That is probably a little bit. Oh, it's only a 7-minute video. Right, I'll put this on and I shall mute myself.
Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about doping, which is the process of intentionally adding impurities to a semiconductor in order to change its electrical properties. Doping is a critical process in the tech world. It's used in manufacturing almost all semiconductor technologies today. Without doping, the solar industry would not exist. But even though doping is common today, the effects of impurities confused semiconductor physicists in the 1950s, who had trouble reproducing results. Eventually, they realized that contamination levels as low as 1 in a billion were vastly changing the electrical properties of their samples. Today, we'll show you how this works with a very simple experiment. We'll be measuring the electrical conductivity of 2 silicon slabs using an ohm meter. One is doped with impurities, phosphorus in our case, and the other is ultra pure, or what we call intrinsic.
Let's go over our experiment. We'll start with a slab of silicon, which we attach metal contacts to. We'll use an ohm meter that we connect to our sample with metal wires to measure the conductivity. The conductivity describes how well electricity can flow through the material. The measured resistance from our ohm meter is related to the inverse of the conductivity. The resistance also varies according to the physical size and shape of our sample, which adds a length over area term to our equation, like so. Rearranging this equation gives us what we're looking for, the conductivity. Let's measure our samples and estimate the conductivity.
Here are 2 samples. Notice that the doped sample looks identical to the intrinsic one, or undoped sample. Because we've only added trace impurities, the optical properties are nearly identical between the 2 samples. Let's hook up the ohm meter to the intrinsic sample. We can see that the resistance is 130,000 ohms, which roughly corresponds to a conductivity of 2 10,000ths inverse ohm centimeters. Let's compare this to the doped sample. We read a resistance of 34 ohms, which corresponds to roughly 0.6 inverse ohm centimeters. So we can see that the doped sample is around 3,000 times more conductive. But why would adding a small amount of our dopant, about 1 phosphorus atom for every million silicon atoms, make our sample 3,000 times more conductive? On the periodic table, we see that silicon is in the 4th column, which means it has 4 valence electrons. Phosphorus, which is just to the right in column 5, has 5 valence electrons, 1 extra compared to silicon. I'd also like to point out boron in column 3 with 1 fewer valence electron than silicon. Later, I'll explain what happens when you add boron as a dopant.
We'll start with a 2D representation of a...
Before we get started, I have to clear up a little discrepancy here. Apparently the other night, or within the last week, because I've been getting a lot of email about this, and I even received 1 telephone call. Apparently somebody called the Alex Jones broadcast and asked him why he didn't have me on the air, or asked him something about me. Alex Jones said he had me on the air once before, several years ago, and had to cut me off the air because of the foul language that I used. So on the air tonight, I'm going to tell you, Alex Jones, you are a bold-faced, miserable, stinking little coward liar. Now let me say that again so there's no mistake about it. You can all tell Alex Jones that I said this, and I suspect he's listening because he does. Alex Jones, you are a bold-faced, stinking, rotten little coward liar. I was only on the Alex Jones show one time. It was years ago, when I didn't know who he was, when I didn't realize what a liar and a coward and a sensationalist bullshit artist that he is. He was on one little FM station down in Texas. He wasn't on all the stuff that he's on now. And I agreed to be on his broadcast. That's when I was doing guest appearances on broadcasts, years ago. I was not cut off. I did not use any kind of foul language whatsoever. He treated me very well, and I stayed on for the whole show. Some of you in Texas know that that's true because you heard the broadcast and you taped it. Later, when I found out who Alex Jones was and what he was doing to the truth, and what a cowardly liar and sensationalist he really is, every time he called me after that, I have always refused to appear on his broadcast. Absolutely refused to lend him any credibility whatsoever by appearing on his broadcast. And that made him very angry. I've also revealed him for the lying, sensationalist, bullshit artist that he is by every once in a while bringing to your attention the lies and the deceit and the rumors that he spreads over the airwaves that are not good for any of us, and they're not good for the nation. They are especially not good for militia and patriots. The most disgusting broadcast he ever did was on New Year's Eve, the year 2000, the New Year's Eve, 1999, bringing in the year 2000, which he went completely out of his mind and claimed that Russia had launched intercontinental ballistic missiles with multiple warheads at the United States of America and actually panicked millions of people who were putting their children and their belongings in their cars and heading for the hills. Now, there's lots of things that can be said about me. Nobody needs to lie about me. Sometimes I am irritating. Sometimes I absolutely will not suffer fools and am just as rude as I can be. Nobody has to lie about me, Alex Jones. So I suggest that the next time somebody calls your broadcast and asks them about me, you tell the truth. There's lots of truth that you can tell about me. But don't ever lie on me, buddy, because I'll chop you off at your ankles. I will chew you up. I will spit you out for the lying, stinking, rotten little coward that you are. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have to say about Mr. Sensationalist, lying, rumor-mongering, bullshit artist, Alex Jones. Good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Cooper.
Hi.
Listen, that Alex Jones interview was directly after you published the Veritas June 26, 1998 issue about the Cooper family being targeted by the feds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah,
And
back in 1990. So did he kick me off the air?
No, he's a liar, and you've pointed it out, and I heard that interview, and you were nothing but cordial.
Yeah. Well, that's the truth.
That's the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia.
Bye-bye.
Alex Jones is a miserable, rotten, little, stinking, cowardly, bold-faced liar. Boy, you know, all of these people ought to know better than to mess with me, because I don't take any crap from anybody. And if I'm not afraid of the whole machinations of the entire government Gestapo, what in the hell makes Alex Jones think that I would ever be afraid of his cowardly little rotten butt? Good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to let you know I verify what you said about that Alex Jones interview. They had it archived on the internet at one time, and I did hear that interview, and there was nothing wrong with what you did.
And I wasn't thrown off the air, was I?
Not a bit.
No. And that's the only interview I ever did with Alex Jones. As soon as I found out what he was doing and who he really was, he's called me back at least 100 times since then, and I've always told him to take a hike. So anyway, thank you.
Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn how a solar cell is able to turn light-generated mobile charges into electricity.
Sure, we can begin.
John Carpenter's 1988 opus They Live is a scathing indictment.
Welcome everybody to this very special presentation. My name is
John Carpenter's 1988 opus They Live is a scathing indictment of capitalism and the culture of greed masquerading as a B-movie about invading aliens. It stars professional wrestler Rowdy Roddy Piper as a homeless laborer whose world is turned upside down when he finds a box of special sunglasses that allow the wearer to see the truth about subliminal messaging, forcing humanity to obey. It's one of Carpenter's greatest films, but grab a pair of Hoffman lenses for yourself to see the truth that even hardcore fans may not know about They Live. H.P. Lovecraft, Ray Nelson, and Richard Armitage. Sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed that the screenplay is credited to Frank Armitage, which happens to be the same name as Keith David's character. This, of course, is a pseudonym. Carpenter wrote the screenplay but felt it was strong enough of a collaborative effort with his future wife Sandy King and Roddy Piper as well that he didn't take sole credit. Instead, he lifted the name Armitage from the Dunwich Horror, a classic story by H.P. Lovecraft, whose work often involved characters being driven mad by discovering hidden truths. Lovecraft wasn't the direct inspiration for They Live though. Instead, Carpenter drew from another short story, Ray Nelson's 8 O'Clock in the Morning, published in 1963 and turned into a comic book in 1986. It features a character named Nada who awakens to the fact that the world is secretly being run by snake-like aliens who control humanity's thoughts and actions. While many of the story's elements would later make it to the screen, Carpenter wisely added a few tweaks to the plot and changed a few elements to make it more believable. Or at least as believable as a story about magic sunglasses that let you see aliens can be.
I'm giving you a choice. Either put on these glasses or start eating that trash can.
The Man with No Name. Like the lead character of Nelson's short story, Roddy Piper's character is called Nada because he is meant to be a blank slate everyman. He is given very little backstory and is never referred to by his name in the film even once, with Nada only appearing in the credits. In the years since though, Carpenter has let it slip that the character's first name is John and that he indeed has an extensive backstory, even if the filmmaker himself doesn't know what it is.
I've had a rough couple of days.
In an interview, Carpenter revealed that only one man knew Nada's full origin story, Roddy Piper. Before filming, Carpenter asked Piper to come up with a backstory on his own, and further told him to never share what it was with the director, to lend his character more authenticity. True to his word, Piper never went on the record before his untimely death in 2015, meaning that Nada will always be what Carpenter intended, a mystery to everyone, even the man who wrote and directed the movie. The most brutal brawl in cinema history. And nearly 6 minutes long, the iconic alleyway fight between Nada and Frank is one of the most celebrated brawls in film history. It's been endlessly referenced, quoted, and parodied, and it's inevitably brought up as a point of comparison every time new contender for the best fight scene of all time emerges.
Oh, man, I'm sorry, man.
With the idea of creating a fight scene that would be completely unique in films, Carpenter turned to stunt coordinator Jeff Amada, whose work can be seen in action movies like Lethal Weapon, The Bourne Ultimatum, and Furious 7, and to Piper, drawing on his experience as a professional wrestler. The result speaks for itself, but David complimented Piper on helping to make the film more realistic, while Piper's assessment of David makes it clear that he's no slouch either.
This guy hits like a mule.
He's all out of bubblegum. Soon after Nada's unpleasant discovery about the world around him, he has a scuffle with a pair of cops and manages to get away with one of their shotguns by ducking into a building, which turns out to be a bank. As the patrons react to Nada with his shades and shotgun, he utters one of the all-time classic badass lines in cinema history.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
The line has been embedded in pop culture ever since, but it wasn't Carpenter's creation. It came directly from Piper. According to Carpenter, Piper carried a book full of one-liners that he'd used in his wrestling promos, and while he was writing the script, Carpenter lifted the best one for the scene. It's just a shame he never got to use that one on Hulk Hogan. Sticking it to Reagan. Carpenter's choice to make his heroes down on their luck homeless men up against alien invaders who all seem to be rich yuppies and, more frighteningly, politicians, underlines the film's ultimate message, which should be even clearer today than it was 30 years ago. Carpenter has gone as far as calling it a documentary about the exploitation of the poor by the upper class and an indictment of the rampant economic inequality that makes it possible, and even filmed the opening in an actual homeless settlement, paying the residents as extras. If Carpenter intended they live to be a ballistic missile lobbed at 80s materialism and excess, he's never been shy about who he saw as the ultimate symbol of that excess: President Ronald Reagan. Speaking with Starlog around the time of the film's release, Carpenter was clear on this point, calling the president and his cabinet a bunch of crooks. In the years since, Carpenter has been happy to elaborate on his contempt for Reagan whenever given the opportunity. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times in 2013, Carpenter said that he'd decided I had to make a statement and that's they live, citing the literal and figurative way that it was giving the finger to Reagan when nobody else would.
Right, dudes, I'm back. I think they were kind of alright, those videos. Shit. They Live, which is absolutely about Reaganomics. Armitage. Oh, what did he... oh, yeah, because he said Armitage, didn't he? Right, then. So, right. Yeah, I've literally done no prep for today, so we'll probably go through the rabbit hole a bit, in and out. Let's do a bit of unexplained. The old unexplained mysteries. Right then. So, the Pentagon erroneously claims that it has no data on UFOs disabling nukes. Well, who would have thunk that one, eh? Don't know what you're talking about, Governor. Right, where are we? Former Minuteman Commander Robert Salas maintains they reported the incident to the UFO Task Force last year. Salas, it was long been attempting to raise awareness.
Wobble-ubba-dub-dub.
Wobble-ubba-dub-dub. Hey, Dom, you come to rescue me, have you, mate? What do you want to talk? I'll tell you. I'll let you pick. What do you want to talk about, Dom?
Well, that guy was just ranting. I just caught part of that recording, and that guy was ranting about Alex Jones and what.
Yeah, that's Bill Cooper. You know Bill Cooper, don't you? Is it on a pale horse? Is his book? It's supposed to be one of the best conspiracy books ever, isn't it?
I'm not familiar with that, but I mean, yeah, there's. What you mean, Alex Jones's book or this other guy?
Bill Cooper's book.
Oh right, okay. No, I'm not familiar with that. But Alex Jones gets a lot of shit, but apparently there's been a lot that he's been proven right about. And there's a meme that the more time goes on, the more of Alex Jones's rantings come to be true.
It's kind of like what's his name? David Icke's very similar, isn't he? Like given a long enough timeline, I think they'll eventually be right, won't they?
Yeah. Although Alex Jones has sites, he does come with like sources or so-called evidence, and he does try and look at data to prove it. Whereas David Icke just gets it from nowhere, like he's some kind of messiah character.
Pulls it from the ether.
Yeah. Like he predicted government agencies using cell phones and electronics to spy on people. Predicted the whole Bohemian Grove thing. Not predicted. He covered it.
I've never seen that. Have you seen the Alex Jones when he gets to Bohemian Grove? That's supposed to be quite funny, that one, isn't it?
Not seen it. No, I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a good one, isn't it?
He actually went there, and
Behold a Pale Horse. That's it. The book by Bill Cooper.
All right.
It's supposed to be a really, really good book. I mean, I mean, you talk about Ike. I think Ike was the inspiration for both Jones and the other one. Bill Cooper was the inspiration for both David Icke and Alex Jones.
Oh right, so he was like the original.
Yeah, he was doing this stuff before they were. Have you? Oh, got him.
I was going to say also that the Alex Jones was going on about the gay frogs.
They return the freaking frogs gay. The thing is, that's actually based on real science, isn't it?
Yeah, apparently a lot of birth control drugs. People like women take these birth control drugs, piss them out. They go into the water supply. They change the gender of fish.
I thought it was a frog. I thought it was one certain breed of frog, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it must. There's sorts of aquatic or amphibious life on.
Yeah, but we knew about that back in Jurassic Park taught us about that, didn't it? Because you remember they said they filled in the gaps with frog DNA.
Yeah.
And they said there was a frog that can change gender, didn't they?
Yeah. Fish can do it naturally. If there's a female fish, and there's a certain species, if there's a female fish and a bunch of males are kind of impregnating her, and then a predator comes along and eats the female. Males have got no one to impregnate, so one of the males turns into a female.
Oh, okay.
It's like that swimmer who won that medal.
Only not as obvious.
Yeah.
The
whole NSA surveillance. He was right about. He's right about the fake protesters, these agent provocateurs.
Oh shit! I'll tell you what. Have you been to a Shell garage lately?
No.
Oh, interesting. If you go to a Shell garage, have a look at the pump, because now labelled up on all the pumps, they've basically got an injunction against any of the sort of... They've actually got a High Court injunction against any of the sort of stuff that Extinction Rebellion do.
Oh, right.
So it's like you're not allowed to build structures in the entrance. You're not allowed to block the entrance. You're not allowed to make anything on the site. Like all this stuff. It's like you can sell. It's like specifically for Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah, they're cracking down on protests in general now, aren't they? Haven't they passed a bill about protests?
Oh, well,
there's people like these Extinction Rebellion idiots that have caused this, because we should have a right to peaceful protest. When they come up with those stupid stunts, and they don't, it's activists just believe in these causes, and they just don't think things through, do they? Like the fucking the Insulate Britain people.
Well, I called them Insulation Rebellion, because that's basically what they were. Just like Poundland thingy rebellion, weren't they?
But yeah, you had was it in the you've got the left wing and right wing extremists in the US. You got Antifa and you got QAnon. They had agent provocateurs amongst all the protests, like there's all the Black Lives Matter, George Floyd protests, and they had people in there.
Well, a while ago we did there's an article in the Guardian, and I do need to find it again. It's about it's about the sort of groups that the police infiltrate, and you wouldn't believe that. I mean, it's like that bad. It's almost as bad as them like they infiltrate bowling clubs and things like Crown Green bowling clubs and stuff. Like they literally don't want you doing anything that they don't know about.
Yeah. But did you see there was a meme where there was a bunch of guys stood around at some gathering, and they all looked the same. They all had the same chinos on, same kind of like haircuts, and they all had these like packs. I think they had like packs which looked like these bulges in their back of their like on their belts, which looks like they had concealed weapons on them. So it's like, yeah, there's all these memes going around saying, "Oh yeah, these guys obviously aren't feds, are they?"
Well, there was that. Well, I can't remember where it was, but there was those. There's those guys with the Predator logo on their outfits. They're private security, aren't they?
Hmm.
And
Now,
What's that?
some strange group that Joe Rogan was on about on one of his shows. And they were some kind of I don't know, organisation, but Freedom for America or some kind of group like that. But they were all kind of marching in step, like they were kind of military, like they were military trained, and he reckons they were all feds as well.
Yeah, I was just reading an article on. Have you seen this stuff about UFOs disabling nukes?
Yeah, I heard that they've been seen near kind of nuclear silos, and there was one I believe in Russia, where they basically turned the systems off and turned them back on again, as if to say, "Ha, look what we can do," kind of thing.
Yeah. So this guy, a guy called Robert Salas, he said, who's been long attempting to raise awareness about his experiences, was the on-duty commander at the underground launch facility of the Maelstrom Air Force Base back in Montana back in March 1967. When this makes it like more surprising to me, like 1967, because it wasn't exactly like you had the Internet of Things back then, is it? So the airmen who'd been standing watch at the time had observed an object in the sky which started to zigzag around before hovering outside the front gate of the facility. Security guards described it as red, glowing and saucer-shaped. Within seconds, the ICBM stationed at the base had begun to report inexplicable failures. Within the next few seconds, we'd lost 6 to 8 missiles to a no-go condition, said Salas.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is theories that these UFO sightings have become so much more prevalent since the Manhattan Project. So they reckon the aliens are like, well, these lot are going to blow each other up. We better keep an eye on them, kind of thing.
Yeah, do you think the UFOs could be from the future? Because some people say they're from the future, or just like a sideways dimension or something like that, rather than being from actual outer space.
In the South Park episode, took her jobs.
Took her jobs. Stuck my thumb up his ass.
Yeah, I mean there is speculation. Although there's a lot of scientists believe that it's impossible to only travel faster forwards in time. It's impossible to go back in time because of the whole paradox thing, where you could kill your own grandfather.
Or be your own grandfather in the case of Fry and South in Thingy.
Exactly, yeah.
Rock's in. I mentioned his name earlier. I thought I'd got away with it. Do you see? I saw something about Nick Pope. Nick Pope has said something. Where was that one? Has that disappeared? Get Zero. Where was that? Nick Pope, because my old co-host Zero said he wanted a fight with Nick Pope. Where the hell's that gone? I saw a story about Nick Pope, and now it's vanished. And now my internet's being gay. Loch Ness Monster: A Modern History. we need Ian on for that one, but he's not allowed on his work laptop, is he?
John Carpenter's line.
Got a lot less expert now, isn't he?
Yeah. Did he didn't see anything when he was up there, did he?
Well, we don't know. He's keeping his cards close to his chest.
Oh right, we got to wait for the reveal. What did you think to the doorway? Did you see that one, the doorway on Mars?
No.
Apparently they found a doorway. We did it last week. NASA image, it shows what looks like a door on Mars, but no, it's just it's a geological phenomenon, dude. Stop looking.
I'm just looking at the image now. It's.
I mean, that doesn't look random in the least, does it?
No, but then there's kind of speculation that certain.
Oh, this is it. Nick Pope. Zero used to call him Nick Pope, the government dope, and he said he wanted to have a fight with him in a pub car park. He said he would actually fight him. Zero definitely needs to come back. He was a good guy. So what's he said? The former MOD UFO investigator has suggested that alien monitoring devices could be disguised as common animals. One of the most prominent figures in the field of UFO research, Nick Pope, famously worked for the British Ministry of Defence from 1991 to 1994, during which time he was tasked with investigating reports of unidentified flying objects to determine whether or not they posed a risk to national security. He can't have been that good at it. They only had him for 3 years. Speaking to the Mirror recently, Pope put forward the suggestion that if advanced extraterrestrial race wanted to monitor our activities here on Earth without raising suspicion, all it would need to do is disguise the monitoring devices as common types of animals that nobody will look twice at. So yeah, good job. Good job that bloke didn't kill an alien drone then, weren't it? The one who killed the pigeon.
My cat could be spying for aliens.
Yeah. The cats are spying robots.
So have you seen? There's a theory that the UFO, the Pentagon released stuff about UFOs.
Yeah.
And the Tic Tac, which was released, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was quite a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there's theories that this Tic Tac thing could be a hypersonic missile. So, the Joe Rogan episode, he had Mike Baker on, who was a former CIA agent. Well, he keeps joking to him, like say, "Oh, former, ha ha ha," you know, like he's still working for them. And this guy claims that Russia has hypersonic missiles, which not only do you not, there's no such thing as a 20-minute warning anymore. You're just going to get hit instantly. But they can actually change direction in the air. Yeah. Well, so there's a theory that this Tic Tac could have been one of those.
Yeah, just kind of like... Oh, have you seen this one? There's another one from the surface of Mars that looks like wreckage.
I remember seeing in the Daily Sport. Do you remember the Daily Sport?
What, the B-52 on the moon?
Yeah, no, there was one... I remember seeing an article saying, there's the face on Mars. Said face on Mars grows beard.
I remember B-52 found on the aliens put B-52 on the moon, and it was one of them. Yeah. Do you want some news that is going to make you go, oh? There's a whole stuff of people with things inside them. When Indiana paramedics were called out to an emergency in a rural area, they found 57-year-old chicken farmer Christopher Adams lying drunk on his hen house floor, naked, covered in blood, with a live 5-pound chicken sticking out of his rectum, clucking loudly. After unsuccessfully attempting to remove the bird there and then, they took Adams and his chicken to hospital, where the hen was extracted extracted, yeah, that's it. In a delicate 7-hour operation with both man and chicken surviving. The bird was dying of suffocation when it got here. It had already badly lacerated the patient's bowels in a desperate attempt to get out and was still gashing at it like crazy, said the hospital spokesperson. The chicken suffered only minor injuries, but Adams needed 7 blood transfusions and more than 780 stitches. At the time reported, Adams had not regained consciousness and had been able to account for the incident, but Dr. Aurelius Thomas, who carried out the operation, said, I don't really know how the bird got there. Getting it out was so complicated and damaging that I can't imagine that getting it in could have been any fun either. Shelby County Sheriff's Department and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals have both launched investigations, and the ASPCA have taken custody of the chicken and say they will treat it for any symptoms of post-traumatic stress.
I can see how he'd get it in. He probably took some poppers and they wore off.
Yeah. How about this one then? So this is the big double spread. This is one of the big double spreads in the Fortean this month. After a 55-year-old man from Bihar, India, was admitted to a hospital with constipation and severe abdominal pain, ultrasound and x-rays pinpointed the source of the problem: a whole glass blocking his intestine. He maintained that he had accidentally swallowed it while drinking tea, but his doctors feel it is unlikely, as the esophagus isn't wide enough to accommodate a glass. After attempts to pull the glass out of the man's rectum with an endoscopic tool failed, doctors eventually had to operate to remove the item. Dr. Muhammad Al-Hassan, head of the team of operating doctors, said, how the glass got inside the body of the patient is still a mystery. I think we can all guess.
We heard the one about the man that goes to the hospital with a light bulb stuck up his arse.
Yes.
And then he gets a taxi there. Then after they remove it, he comes out and the taxi driver is being brought in because he tried the same or something.
What? I've heard that one. I've heard about people who have doll's heads stuck in their arse and stuff.
Apparently it's really common. Like, I reckon if you ask anyone who works in A&E, they'll tell you how common it is.
Oh dear. Oh no! Interdimensional Lizard says in the chat, I thought you were going to say the taxi had a bump in the road and the pole broke. Ooh. How about this one then? Slightly more honest about her situation was a 45-year-old woman from Tunisia, admitted to the academic hospital Habib Bourguiba with a urinary tract infection. Scans by her doctors revealed she had an 8 centimetre, 3-inch wide stone in her bladder. Bladder stones are usually too small to easily see with the naked eye, after which the patient admitted she had inserted a glass tumbler into her urethra 4 years before, while using it as a sex toy and had not been able to get it out. This had travelled up into her bladder and become calcified, creating the giant stone. Doctors operated and removed the obstruction. When they cracked it open, they found the glass still intact inside. I wonder if she's using it again. After 2 days, the woman was well enough to go home. Best treatment remains preventative by balancing the underlying ethiopathic disorder by a good sex education, said her doctors. Oh God.
Oh, hang on. I stand corrected. It wasn't up the light bulb wasn't up his arse. Someone had put it in his mouth, and it got caught. It got stuck. He couldn't pull it out again past his teeth. His teeth started breaking. We got a taxi, and on his way out, he saw the taxi driver coming in with a light bulb in his mouth. So he'd obviously tried it himself. So just out of curiosity, I guess.
This is one we did on JDLE. An understandably unnamed 15-year-old boy from London ended up in hospital after he decided to use a knotted USB cable to measure the length of his penis out of sexual curiosity. So, is this the way? Have you ever heard this method? Put a knot in a USB cable and stick it down your bell end. Have you heard of this method? Dom.
So isn't that sounding? Like, it's usually a metal rod, isn't it?
Spaghetti down your penis was a 90s party trick, apparently. Out of sexual curiosity, instead of laying it alongside his member, then measure it with a ruler, he decided the best course of action was to insert the knotted cable into his urethra, where it got stuck with both ends hanging out. So he's
knotted.
So he's put what? I don't know. It's like folded in half and knotted. So both ends were hanging out of his knob. Oh God, this makes me cringe, this does. After several attempts to remove it himself were unsuccessful, resulting in him urinating large amounts of blood, he called an ambulance and was rushed to hospital. There, accident and emergency staff also failed to dislodge the cable, even with special tools, and eventually operated. So this is how they got it out, making an incision between his genitals and anus, so they cut his twern, that allowed him to cut away the knot and free the rest of the cable. So they cut his arse open, pushed it through, cut the knot, and then pulled it back. Fucking hell. Oh God. Surprisingly, this is not the only case on record of complications caused by urethral inserted USB cable. There have also been 2 in China, one involving a 13-year-old boy, and another a man who had regretfully tried to imitate an extreme porn video while drunk. Elsewhere, an Indonesian man managed to get 6 feet of string stuck in his urethra. In Tehran, there was a 49-year-old man who did something unwise with his urethra, inserting an AA battery. Do you imagine that, getting an AA battery down your bell end, Dom?
Now.
He left it there for 24 hours before the pain forced him to seek medical attention, resulting in his case forming the basis for a paper in the journal Urology Case Reports. Apparently, despite successful removal of the obstruction, the man continued to experience a burning sensation when he tried to urinate, and recurrence of obstructive and irritating urinary symptoms, including dysuria and decreased urinary force, caused by scar tissue formed due to exposure to toxic chemicals in the battery. Oh, you dickhead. Despite this, he fully recovered after 6 months. Right, so... Oh God, this one. A 54-year-old man, like, just watch out for fucking anybody over 50. Any of your mates doing this, Dom? Is Ian doing this? It's like around about 50. He's like the problem type of sticking stuff down your bell end, I think. So a 54-year-old. Go on then.
I'm only 45, so I've got a while before I.
I've got quite a while before I'm ready to start doing this stuff. A 54-year-old man turned up at a hospital in the Brazilian city of Manaus, suffering from cramping abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting in small volume, and constipation. An initial anal probe failed to reveal the cause, so doctors x-rayed the patient, described as uncooperative, and found an 8-inch long 4-pound dumbbell jammed at the intersection of the man's rectum and colon. He then admitted it had been there for 2 days after he'd used it for purposes of a sexual nature. Fortunately, the unwisely inserted item had not yet caused an anal perforation or other severe injury, so medics sedated the patient and attempted to remove it with forceps. This proved impossible, so the team went for manual extraction, which involved a surgeon reaching in with their forearm, grasping the weight and waggling it out. The timely intervention meant the man was able to leave hospital after 3 days without complications.
Yeah. I don't know. I can imagine a lot of people on meth doing this kind of thing.
Well, it just seems to be like Brazil, India. Yeah. So in Jaipur, India, a man was stopped at the airport after acting suspiciously and found to have almost 1 kilogram of gold up his bottom. The passenger arrived on an Air Arabia flight where officials claimed the man's manner alerted them something was amiss. They investigated and a personal search was carried out. The 3 transparent polythene capsules wrapped in white plastic were found concealed in the man's rectum. Inside the capsules were small metal granules of almost pure gold worth 42,739,310 rupees, which is 400. So 42 million rupees is 439 grand. An airport official confirmed the 79.1 gram gold of 99.5% purity was extracted and seized.
Is it illegal to carry that amount of gold on your person? Or was it a security measure? Just trying to think of his motive.
Well, he's travelling by air, isn't he? So I think you'd have to declare something like that, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you could probably get taxed on it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So a report has been published in the Royal College of Surgeons of England Annals, or Annals as it should be, analysing a number of manual removal of foreign body from rectum procedures carried out by the NHS in England. It has found that between 2010 and 2019, doctors had to remove 3,500 objects accidentally jammed in patients' anuses. That's treating them cost the NHS an average of £340,000 a year. Around 800.
Like they slipped and they accidentally landed on it.
Yeah, I remember hearing that one. You ever heard the one about the bloke goes to A&E, his cock's all chopped up, and he said that someone tried to rob him and mug him by grabbing his cock and chopping it up, and it turns out he was trying to shag the Hoover.
I mean, why don't they just use a dildo with a flared base? You know,
yeah, so they don't lose it.
Yeah.
Cheapskates, aren't they? Around £850 per object made up the costs of the removal itself, anaesthetic drugs, time of health staff and the hospital stay. They also discovered that most of the patients were men and the largest number were in their 20s and 50s. They found that the number of incidents had been steadily increasing over the period they investigated, with almost twice as many foreign objects removed in 2018-19, 508 compared to 2010-11. So that's like about 250 then. The researchers said the number was probably an underestimate as it didn't include procedures in private hospitals and it also excluded items that got stuck in other locations. The NHS appealed to anyone exploring anal play to do so safely and to use an object with a flared base to prevent it from getting lost inside them.
There you go.
Oh dear me. Fucking crazy, isn't it?
It's just a reflection of our society in general, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going downhill in a big way, isn't it?
Clown world.
Yeah. What else is in here?
One, a British man, formerly known as Thomas Dodd, has reportedly changed his name to Celine Dion. It's all coming back to him now as to how it happened.
Oh dear.
Dodd told Birmingham Live that he had a few too many alcoholic beverages while watching a recording of a Dion concert to change his name as a result. I'm slightly obsessed with her, I'm not gonna lie, he said to the Quebec superstar singer. During lockdown, I've been watching a lot of live concerts on the TV. I only think I've been watching one of hers and had a great idea after a few drinks.
Jesus.
And yeah, I've done things, questionable things after a few drinks, but
yeah, that's quite an old story, that isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, this is from 2019.
What else we got? This. Mum left outraged as family members claim her post-pregnancy body is enormous. Mum discovered she has a second tiny vagina after being pregnant.
Oh yeah, there's a thing where that people can have like they've been they were like twins in the womb, and one twin was kind of absorbed into the other's body, or they have partial like pieces of tissue from the other twin, like an ear or something. Or
Oh yeah. Or you can have more like teeth and a head, can't you? Yeah, we did that. We did that on the Twins episode. Did you ever listen to the Twins episode?
no, was that about the film with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito?
It was partly, but it just turned into like a really gross list of birth defects from India. just like unabsorbed twins, like, because there's all kinds of different types of twins.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of like those kind of conjoined twins and Siamese twins, but there's a lot of them seem to be in India for some reason. If it's just all the poverty and the pollution and whatnot, yeah, it seems to be India. If you want to go to a freak show, India's your best bet.
The weird news isn't very good.
Was that episode of his name, Carl Pilkington? He saw these sort of weird conjoined twin freaks in India, and he really took a liking to them.
Oh, did he?
And he was with Warwick Davis, and he wanted Warwick Davis to go up and appear with them. I didn't understand why he was offended.
Have you heard about this time travelling TikToker?
No.
The user who posts under the name @RealTikTokTimeTraveler also claimed that humans will make contact with an alien race this summer. A TikToker claiming to be a tried time traveller from 2236 has issued a stark warning to their followers, including a claim that Europe will be struck by a deadly meteor in autumn. The user who posts under the name @RealTikTokTimeTraveler also claimed that humans will make contact with an alien race this summer, and that a hacker is coming to close down millions of social media accounts because they are against the platform. The warnings read, "Many people still don't believe me. I am a real time traveller from the year 2236, and I've come to this date and time to warn you about upcoming events this year. On July 7th, humans are going to have their first real contact with an alien species called Arzax on the south side of Alaska, United States. On August 13th, a hacker by the name of Stack will delete over 36.7 million TikTok accounts due to their strong beliefs against social media. On October the 12th, there will be a deadly meteor named the Draconids, which will hit Europe, causing many casualties. The clip has gained more than 5,000 likes since it was posted at 1 a.m. on May 18th. A meteor would kill all of us, wouldn't it, if it was that big?
How big was it?
It doesn't say. It just says a deadly meteor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they reckon there's the one in Central America that wiped the dinosaurs out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of TikTok, so you ever see that your mum's house? You know, I think I posted a link to it.
No, I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, it's two comedians, and they do it's like a husband and wife team. They're both comedians, and the wife curates these TikToks and some on for everyone to laugh at. You just won't believe the fucking idiots that are on TikTok. And they call them cool guys. Usually like the people, they've got like no teeth because they've been doing meth, or they've got like one eye looking at the wrong direction and the other eye. And and then they have another show with Dr. Drew, and he analyses them and kind of tries to diagnose what's wrong with these people. It's quite funny.
The weird news isn't that good. No, they used to have some really good ones on there. Fucking hell. Rare banknote found in charity shop sells for 1,400 times its original value. What's this one? From the Palestine Currency Board. A rare £100 banknote found in a charity shop was sold online for $140,000. Paul Wyman was volunteering in Oxfam when he spotted an unusual banknote in a box of donated items. The £100 Palestine pounds is one of less than 10 known to exist and was issued to high-ranking officials during the time of the British Mandate in Palestine in 1927. Savvy Paul, who found the note in the Brentwood branch at Essex, decided not to put it on the shelves and contacted an auction house where experts valued it at $30,000. But it sold for a staggering $140,000 when it went under the hammer at Spink Auction House in London.
I actually had a load of banknotes from all over the world because Dad used to travel all over the world for his job.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, fuck it. They were kind of a novelty to have all these notes, but one day I just thought, oh, fuck it, I'll just exchange them, some money back for them. And I had one from Myanmar, which used to be Burma.
Yeah.
And yeah, they refused. They would think it was worth quite a lot, but they refused to exchange it because apparently it's illegal to take it out of the country. So.
No, it's God. Grand slams Amazon for ridiculous joke packaging after garden tool arrives in 6-foot box.
Yeah, they are fucking ridiculous with their
packaging. They do that sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
So it's a digging. All it was a digging bar.
Oh, like a little trowel.
1.2 meters long. Oh, well, I can imagine. I should imagine they didn't have like a 1 meter long box, 1.2 meter long box. I should imagine that there's like a half decent reason for that, though, isn't there?
Isn't 6 foot about same as 1.2 meters anyway?
6 foot. No, I don't think so.
No, 6 foot's probably 2 meters.
Isn't it they were like 1.8 or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
What else? I'll put my boyfriend's poorly dog down without permission and I'll do it again. Nice. This is supposed to be weird news. Woman stalked by ghost that dragged her downstairs has become spirit hunter. Debbie McCall, 51, was stalked for an entire year by a troubled spectre that spied on her and even dragged her down the stairs before she finally faced her fears. The woman who was stalked for an entire year by a troubled spirit that dragged her down the stairs has told how she became a ghost hunter. This is what I love about newspapers. You know, when they do the bit and then they do the bit again.
They repeat the headline in the story.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Debbie McCall, 51, even met the love of her life after facing her fears, who she now takes on paranormal dates. Now an experienced investigator of everything from haunted castles to dungeons and tunnels, Debbie realised the spirit had attached himself to her in 2012. After a local church refused to banish him, she sought help from a medium who advised her to let go of the negative energy that was attracting it. Now, Debbie of Portsmouth said this has helped her regain control of her life. She has also led to her soulmate, Emily Cowell, 38, a service manager who she met at a séance in Fort Widley in 2020. Debbie said she has the same passion for the paranormal as me, and whenever we can, we work together. Our date nights are paranormal investigations instead of dinners. We prefer them. I met Emily as a customer of Ghost to Ghost, a paranormal investigations group. Points for that name, Dom?
Yeah, pretty good.
I founded in 18. We love our paranormal day nights. They're unconventional, but they're our passion, and we have as many as we can. Bit boring now, I've got to say.
Here's one. Penis plant at risk of extinction as people are urged to stop picking them. Fuck, it's giving me the... Sorry, it's got that stupid pop-up with the...
Oh, yeah. Do you want blah, 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 isn't it?
Yeah. So-called penis plant in Cambodia is on the verge of extinction as the government issues warning. Why are the phallic plants so irresistible? actually does look like a penis.
Neighbour confuses old trampoline for elderly man unwell in the street. I'll have to put this one up. This is funny. Right, so new tab. Where is it? Where is it?
It's just it's just these picture of like girls holding these penis plants.
Oh, so you got a link to that?
Yeah. It's a daily
yeah, so look, that old trampoline, they thought it was an old man.
Hang on, they thought the trampoline was an old man.
Yeah. Yeah, look, can you see it there? I'll just put it on, it's on the stream.
All I can see is... Oh, it's got the ad blocker thing on.
Oh, that'll go in a sec.
Oh yeah, it kind of, yeah. Does kind of look for it like he's like just leaning against the wall.
Yeah, it looks like he's just getting a breather, doesn't it? Oh dear.
Where shall I post this link? I'll post it in general.
That's better. Right, let's have a look. Oh fucking hell. That fucking thumbnail. Oh god, they are horrific, aren't they? dirty girls.
It's like these people, they're becoming extinct because everyone's like picking them to take photos with them. Oh, look at this, and then probably chucking them somewhere.
Woman public enemy number 2 after walking into beauty shop and pooing in the aisle. Nice. Dead woman bangs on coffin to say she's alive during her own funeral.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of that, isn't there? I think the Victorians used to have could pay for a
bell system, wasn't there?
Bell that you could pull. It's they're called catatonia, isn't it? You appear dead, but you're not.
I don't know, the pop-up blockers let me put the video on. So a funeral in Peru was dramatically interrupted after knocking was heard from within a coffin. Oh god, she'd been in a serious crash and she'd obviously been... They pronounced her dead, so... She's just in a coma. Fucking brilliant. I'm sure they'll be getting those over for the NHS, won't they, those people? Jesus Christ. Huge bottle of scotch is bigger than a bath is set to sell for $1.5 million. The largest bottle of scotch in the world, standing taller than most men at 5'11", is set to sell for well over £1 million at auction. Yeah, fucking hell. 311 litres of it. Oh, fucking thing.
Angry Uri Geller says he knows aliens exist because he held a UFO piece in his hands.
Oh, God.
Psychic Spoonbender has blasted US defense chiefs and said his close encounter with UFO debris in 1974 proved to him the existence of alien life.
He's a crank, innit? Do you believe him or not?
No, I remember like at one point someone put him on the spot who was interviewing him, and you know normally he brings out his little spoon prop and then bends it. They gave him a normal spoon and said, "Here, bend this." Like, oh, my psychic energies aren't working right now, you know.
Oh God, have you seen? Did you hear about the guy that's he's terminally ill and he mooned at a speed camera and they arrested him? Did you hear that story?
Oh, I would probably do this similar shit if I was terminally ill.
Yeah, exactly. So he was later bailed, then interviewed under caution in January. He's now been charged over his reaction to being arrested and will appear before magistrates in May. Darrell claims the charges are trumped up and that police are looking for any little thing to get me on. He said, "This is an escalation of what they've done. You can't keep changing it and altering it until you find something that fits." What are they going to come up with next? They're literally looking for any little thing to get me on. I pulled my trousers down and moved at a speed camera. That's all I did. They're essentially admitting there was no offence committed in the first place. There is nothing on this charge sheet saying I committed any initial offence whatsoever. Why were they kicking the living daylights of me in the back garden if there was no offence committed? So this is after they bashed my doors in, causing thousands of pounds worth of damage for no good reason. The police escalated and I'm furious about it. I never thought it'd get to this point. It's a case of bullying and they're trying to get anything they can possibly get to get me. I dread to think how much taxpayers' money is costing to do this.
I mean, does that not count as indecent exposure?
Yeah, kind of. But the police have said they haven't. I don't know. Maybe.
Does that only if you pull your willy out? I mean.
Fucking hell. He said, I got out the car, flashed my bum, pulled my trousers up and got back in the car. I didn't think anything of it. It was a good laugh. Came home. Within 20 minutes there was a police van outside. I was too scared to go out. It was quite frightening, really.
Hang on. How was it caught on speed camera? Because his car would be... If he got out of his car to do it, his car would be stationary.
Yeah. But they literally... You seen the picture where they just got him on the floor and they're kicking the shit out of him?
Yeah, well...
Here's the arrest. Look. Four coppers fucking piling on him.
Yeah, well...
Look at that, look. Terminally, he's got Parkinson's disease and he needs a wheelchair. Poor bleeder. Look at that, fucking right gaggle of cops. Like, all he did was moon a camera. Go fucking grip, you miserable bastards. So that's that. Yeah, so he's fucking, things are getting worse for him. He only wanted to do something for his bucket list, didn't he? And ends up with all that fucking grief.
Bet it was a Met as well.
I should imagine it was. Paul Bugger, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fucking... Why do they need... Did he resist arrest?
As much as a man with Parkinson's that's in a wheelchair can resist arrest.
That was
God!
In his home.
Vladimir Putin won't be too happy with name a daughter's boyfriend. Katerina Tikhanova, for that 35, is in a relationship with Russian ballet dancer Igor Zelensky.
I thought it was going to be Zelensky.
Oh dear me. It don't rain but it pours, doesn't it?
It reminds me of Bottom, Eddie Hitler, and when people say any relation, he just says yes.
What's the weird news here? Oh God! Jesus Christ didn't die as forgotten crucifixion identity switch story revisited.
So he changed places with some other person.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear about the witches? There's a big battle of the witches between Russia and Ukraine, isn't there?
Well, they're cursing each other.
Yeah, they're cursing each other.
It's that region that has the Baba Yaga clause, isn't it?
Are you thinking of Baba Vanga?
Oh, well, I suppose it depends on how. In Russia, it's Baba Yaga,
she's the blind psychic. The Russian one.
No, it's It's no. This.
Oh,
is
you're
like
talking about the
photo.
bogey, like their version of the bogeyman, isn't it?
Yeah, she has like a hut that's on chicken legs and shit. Yeah, a lot of people probably still believe in it, especially in the rural areas.
Because apparently Baba Vanga, who is a psychic, conspiracists claim that she said Vladimir will be Lord of the World. A blind psychic who said to have predicted 9/11 once made a prediction that, as she suggested, a Russian named Vladimir could become Lord of the World, conspiracists believe. Baba Vanga died in the mid-90s, but her lifetime gave many prophecies, some of which have been matched up to real-life events. Now, as the Russian president continues his invasion of Ukraine and has threatened nuclear war, the mystic's insights have come to life once more. According to Birmingham Live, in a meeting with writer Valentin Sidorov, Baba Vanga said, "All will thaw as if ice. Only one will remain untouched. Vladimir's glory, the glory of Russia. Too much it is brought in a victim, nobody can stop Russia. All will be removed by him from the way, and only will he be kept, but also become Lord of the world." According to the Daily Post, Baba Vanga predicted a glorious future for Russia on a different occasion during her life.
Yeah, but she's Russian, so she would say that.
Yeah.
Isn't Vladimir like every second bloke's name in Russia?
It's like Vince, isn't it, or Keith?
Yeah. There was a lot of Nostradamus's predictions came true only because they were just so vague in the first place that you could apply anything to them.
Yeah. Are you seen this one? SpaceX live stream abruptly cuts when mysterious UFO spotted near rocket. Viewers baffled. Oh, Nostradamus, he's mentioned here. Nostradamus predicted France will go to war with Eastern Power in 2022.
So they'll be dragged into the Russia thing.
I should imagine somebody's going to step out of line soon, aren't they? Did you? I think we did this last week, but you've heard about the monkeys, haven't you? The monkeys have gone to war with the dogs. Monkeys have gone to war with the dogs in India, haven't they? They're stealing puppies and throwing them off roofs because a dog killed a baby monkey or something.
Well, it kind of stands to reason because out there, stray dogs and monkeys are much like rats, aren't they? So, I imagine there'll be a struggle between them.
McDonald's customer disgusted after finding nipple in bacon roll. I don't want to know. Oh, I got Professor Brian Cox discussing ghosts with Lorraine. UK's most haunted village boasts one ghost for every 89 residents. A village in Kent, which once earned a spot in the Guinness Book of Records as the most haunted category, allegedly boasts one ghost sighting for every 89 residents. With Halloween just round the corner, you can see how old this is then. Pumpkins are popping up everywhere, carved with scary grimaces. The tradition of dressing up and celebrating on October 31st each year is believed to have originated from the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. People would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. One picturesque village in the English countryside seemingly drew the short straw when it came to attracting ghosts. Pluckley, a village around 5 miles west of Ashford in Kent, has been dubbed the most haunted in the UK. The village earned a place in the 1989 Guinness Book of Records for being the most haunted village in Britain after 12 different alleged sightings. The category, however, is no longer in use by Guinness. Pluckley boasts more ghost sightings per person than any other village in the country, according to Kent Live. In the 2011 census, Pluckley had a population of 1,069, which equates to one ghost per 89 residents. The Mirror, however...
Have you heard of the theories of why there are ghost sightings?
Which ones?
A lot of it could be down to, well, there's carbon monoxide poisoning can lead to hallucinations, and there's I think it's like magnetic fields and certain frequencies of sound, like a fan that spins at a certain, that gives off a certain sound frequency, all can cause, these horrible feelings of terror in you. So there's a lot of explanations for it.
Because they say in cities that it could be like the rumble of like traffic noise.
Yeah.
Can do things
Basically
like that too.
A lot of sound pollution, and I think is it 17 hertz? It's the frequency that.
Is that the brown noise, Dom?
No, I think that's a different one. Don't normally. I don't know. People do shit themselves when they see a ghost, don't they?
So the Mirror, however, reported last year the village is home to 15 ghosts, 1 per 71 residents. It has been the location of a series. Been location for a series of supernatural television programs, including Most Haunted and Ghostly Legends. It was also the setting of ITV drama series The Darling Buds of May, which starred David Jason and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Tourists and amateur ghost hunters still flock to the spooky village from across the country in search of just one of the ghouls. Local resident Julie Halliday told Kent Online of one particular spirit in 2019. She spoke of a young girl called Elizabeth, believed to have been plastered into the walls of the Black Horse pub by her evil nanny. A lot of people say hair gets pulled. Oh no, there's an alarm going off. It's my van, Lee.
A UFO story here. Couple spot 5 glowing UFOs flying in a row across the night sky over Oklahoma. Couple believe they have seen UFOs after recording the moment they saw 5 glowing orange lights in a row.
Right, I'm back. I had to silence the alarm on my van.
Alright, I just found one about couple have spotted 5 glowing UFOs flying in a row across the night sky over Oklahoma. It occurred on May 12th, 2022. For some reason the video won't load though. They spotted the objects flying above Norman, Oklahoma on May 12th. Bewildered by what they saw, they sent what they managed to record of the site. Taiwan-based truth seeker Scott C. Waring took a look at the clips for his YouTube channel. Describing the footage they sent to UFO Sightings Daily, the bloke said, "My wife and I saw an orange in colour object flying from the south and disappeared as it travelled north."
Ooh.
I have 4 different videos of 4 different objects. I was not able to get the first one on video since I did not have my phone. Chalked it up to a shooting star until another one appeared, followed by 3 more objects. Made no sound at all. Analysing the footage, self-professed UFO expert Waring wrote, "Guys, this is awesome. This raw footage just came and it shows 5 glowing objects passing over an eyewitness yard. Objects move away and then suddenly disappear in the distance. These objects are allowing him to see them. The UFOs want to be seen. They are very close to the power lines and may be trying to tap into our communication networks to learn more about humanity."
Or let's hope they don't go on Twitter. They won't learn a lot, will they?
Well, they will. They'll learn about the all the below 100 IQ people.
Tsunami warning for London. World War II shipwreck is packed with explosive and is ticking time bomb. An American World War II shipwreck packed with 1,400 tons of explosives poses a tsunami threat to London, has been labelled a ticking time bomb. Tens of miles of beautiful beaches and bays occupy the Kent coastline, overlooking the English Channel and the Thames estuary. Beneath the surface, however, lay some potent risks to the Garden of England and nearby London. The SS Richard Montgomery was an American liberty ship that sank and split in two during a storm in the Thames estuary off the Sheerness during World War II. That was a bit of a shit boat then, wasn't it? And it's remained there ever since. I mean, that one storm and your fucking war vessel's fucked. That was a bit shit, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd think they'd... Yeah. World War II, I don't know, yeah. The boats that could weather storms.
Yeah, but it's in the Thames estuary. Like, it's not even like it's like out at sea, is it?
Oh, no.
It's just rubbish. Bloody Yanks. It sits a mere 1.5 miles from the shore with its rusted masts which rise eerily from the water visible from land. To this day, 77 years on, it's monitored 24 hours a day and 7 days a week by port authorities. The 440-foot long ship is subject to a 500-metre exclusion zone. The disturbing cargo which remains on the ship, some 1,400 tonnes of high explosives, in theory could explode at any point. BBC reported in 2015 that should it explode, it could cause one of the most devastating non-nuclear peacetime explosions ever seen.
Surely those explosives, after being under the sea for all that time, could still explode? What would set them off?
I don't know, that's the thing, isn't it? What is it? Collision with another vessel could sufficiently disturb the munitions aboard to produce the conditions necessary for a mass explosion. Owing to the exclusion zone, which is marked by navigational buoys with lights and similar additional smaller buoys in between, this is unlikely.
Yep, it's health and safety gone mad.
Yeah. So they're saying it would level Sheerness, and a 30 or 40 foot wave would breach sea defences. Sheppey's got a population of 25,000 people. Where would they go? A report published in 2000 by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency revealed there are holes in the ship. This thought due to its deterioration.
All I want to know is the Republic of Sealand safe?
Where is the Republic of Sealand?
Somewhere in the North Sea. It's like I think it was like a helicopter platform with a...
Oh, right, okay. Didn't someone try to set up a society there or something, didn't they?
Yeah, someone is the prince of it. Doesn't live there, but there's a caretaker who lives there. And it's like, yeah, it's got like several levels, and yeah, so it's in international waters, so he's sort of... I think he's like the Prince of Sealand or some weird title.
Weirdest things Brits do in the bathroom, including eating breakfast in the shower. Surely I'd make your toast all soggy, wouldn't it? Oh, come on, open up, stupid thing.
This one. Experts reveal what happens when you die. Terrible creatures to crazy deja vu theory. I think we touched on this when we were gibbering on about DMT.
Yeah.
What happens when you die? For some, the question is all about the science and the effect on a person's body, but for others, about the mystery of where we go when we leave this mortal coil. This is what those in the know say. Not the cheeriest topic of conversation, but it's fascinating nonetheless. What happens when you die? Science can only take us so far when trying to answer one of life's great unanswered questions. As doctors might be able to tell us what happens to a body physically when a heart beats its last beat. But the deeper mystery lies in the question of what happens to a person's soul, if such a thing exist, when they leave this mortal coil. And our best chance of answering that probably involves listening to those who have died and come back. Here we've taken a look at what some top neurologists and doctors have to say on the subject. But we've also looked at what those who claim to have seen the afterlife say. From surreal out-of-body experiences and strange beings to unrivaled serenity, this is what they say.
So, do you want to know the top 40 unusual things that people have done in the bathroom?
Okay, go on.
Right, we've got cried, read a book, had sex, hid in there to avoid people, tried on new clothes and shoes, phoned friends and loved ones, washed the dog, fallen asleep in the bath, had a cup of tea, hung the washing to dry, sang in the mirror, given themselves a pep talk, played online games, painted their toenails, answered work emails, streamed a cheap TV show in the bath, planned the weekly food shop, played video games, written to-do lists, watched the news, played games while sat on the toilet, like throwing a toilet roll into the bin, taken or edited photos, fantasised about a scenario in the mirror, had a dance, had a beer, streamed a TV show on the loo, exercised, practiced the speech, had a sleep on the floor. I think we've all done that one, haven't we? You ever done the drunken waking up on the bathroom floor?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Stood on. Go on then.
There's also others. I saw a TikTok or something of people who made punch in a toilet bowl. And
nice.
Personally, what I've done in the bathroom is stare in the mirror on acid and watch my face get older and then younger, like constantly.
There's a few more. So they stood on the side of the bath or toilet to see their whole outfit or shoes, had a business idea, answered the phone to their boss, fallen asleep on the loo. I haven't done that. I haven't fallen asleep on the pooper. Done some washing up. Who does washing up in their bathroom? Reenacted a part of their day in the mirror, sent a message on a dating app, given houseplants a spa day, taken a video call on the loo, taken a video call in the bath, and 40 painted or drawn something.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're struggling to get out, if you've got a difficult shit, do something in there.
Yeah. If you haven't,
I don't have a smartphone, so I still do the old classic of reading the ingredients on shampoo bottles and shit like that.
I was going to say, because my missus, she knows someone who had a heart attack, and apparently one of the things you have to do after a heart attack is you can't push in the slightest. So you just have to sit on the toilet and let nature take its course, which can take some time.
Yeah. Well, there are you know how apparently it's more natural to squat down when you shit. That you can get these kind of raised platforms so your feet are up. Apparently it's how in the Eastern world they shit. It allows the.
Oh, is that why toilet seats get broken?
Guess so, yeah. People from India and places like that who come over here literally on their feet on the toilet seat and squat down.
Beautiful. Oh dear. Did you know Elvis Presley's DNA has been used in an experiment to genetically engineer mice after his death?
To do what?
I don't know. Let's have a look. Well, basically, they just talk about
a little mouse in a jumpsuit.
A little mouse shaking its hips. Recently resurfaced accounts from 2012 reveal how the musician's genetic material was used in an experiment to create a mouse Elvis hybrid. Oh dear. Artist Kobe Barhad's project All That I Am employed the idea of using some of the king's hair to insert his genetic code into a mouse. What are they saying? They shoved the hair up its arse or something. The artist told NBC News the purpose of the work is to raise those almost frightening issues. Kobe purchased a sample of Elvis hair on eBay for $22 before researching two companies that could, in theory, sequence Elvis's DNA. He found sequencing firm Gene Track Biolabs, an ingenious targeting laboratory which produces made-to-order mice. The artist also designed several cages which he hoped would represent the various stages of the king's life. The sections represented included his relationship with his mother, his childhood of poverty in his birthplace Tupelo, and finding an inclined treadmill to show the musician's furious work rate before his death. Kobe told Wired, "I've always been fascinated with humanity's eternal need to quantify and define life, be it biology or physics, philosophy or biography, psychology or fiction, from Frankenstein to the God particle. In my research, I came across a private lab service that offers mice that are genetically modified for your needs." Kobe said he kicked off the project by sourcing the hairs of Elvis, Princess Diana, and former US President John F. Kennedy, who were cultural icons that died before their time. He added they were made a myth, glorified to the point where they became a utopian model. From these three, Elvis is the ultimate symbol of the amount of sometimes ridiculous effort we put in as a society keeping those models alive. The artist team... Go on then.
This is. I mean, they're using scientific processes. The things, the wonders they could do with DNA, they use it for some pretentious artistic wank.
It gets even worse than that, because I've just read ahead. The artist teamed up with researchers from Imperial College London to test his own hair and cheek swabs to confirm it was possible to extract DNA from hair. His concept to produce his so-called Elvis mouse model featured in Trinity College Dublin Science Gallery's Grow Your Own Life After Nature exhibit. However, it's remained just a concept, and so far the King's DNA has not been inserted into mice. At the weekend, Sally Hodel spoke about her own efforts to humanize Elvis in her new book. She told The Observer, "Elvis is seen as a less or more than human, like an image, and he's been reduced to this rock and roll guy who died in his bathroom for taking too many pills."
Crazy. I mean, he was like the first person to go through the kind of global sort of superstar icon process, and the amount of... He was like one of the pioneers of having to deal with being a celebrity, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was one. It was like him and the Beatles were the proto pop stars, weren't they? The huge pop stars.
Yeah. I remember, and the Beatles as well. They couldn't even hear their own monitors at their concerts because it was just girls screaming, and nobody could even hear their music. It was what the fuck.
Imagine that. Like, you paid good money to get fucking Beatles tickets, so you can't hear a word of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine it. If you're a girl, you get your panties all wet and screaming with all the other girls. Yeah, that's great. But what if you're a bloke who just likes their music, and you go to one of their concerts and it's like, can't fucking hear them.
Did you enjoy your concert? What concert? I couldn't hear a fucking word. You've done the Mirror's weird news section, haven't you?
Yeah.
Did you not do the one about the bloke who broke into a school and had sex with a sheep?
Oh no, I was going to look at that. No, go ahead.
I just had a look at that one. Fucking weirdo. What am I going to look at? Fucking hell, that one's going to open, isn't it? I'll tell you what's going on with my internet tonight. I think I've got too many tabs open.
I could continue the what happens when you die one for a bit.
Yeah, you can do. We'll have a look at... see if we'll find some more stories.
We're having a look. There are 5 stages, apparently. This is that there's a sudden change, and from one instant to another, all pain is gone. All anxiety is gone, all fear is gone, all noises are gone. Just peace, calmness and tranquility. Some report joy. The second stage is an out-of-body experience where people feel like they're flying above themselves, end up seeing themselves lying down on the stretcher. So there's reports about that where people have flew above themselves and seen things on top of shelves that they couldn't see from their bed, and then described it later, what they saw, and it was accurate. So, which is a bit strange. And the third stage feels comfortable for 98 to 99% of people, but up to 2% of people describe terrible noises, terrible smells, and terrible creatures. In stage 4, he says patients often describe seeing lights that start to shine into the complete blackness, and that is very warm, very bright, and very attractive. He adds that around 10% of near-death survivors witness beautiful surroundings, beautiful colours, some say beautiful music, and the feeling of unconditional love. This is the 5th stage. So yeah, I was speculating before, that very much sounds like a probably DMT being released into the brain.
Yeah, that's it. Because they happened to have a guy on a machine while he died, didn't they? Because I think we read that out a little while ago.
Yeah.
Right, so parasitic worms get sucked into gender bias row amid claims of names being sexist.
God.
Woman gives birth at Metallica show as band plays Enter Sandman. Boy of 4 crashes his mother's car after taking it for a joyride.
What's that about names being sexist? Because these days, everything you do, everything is sexist and everything is racist, according to our left, isn't it?
Yeah. Just wait. These are like parasitic worms that got named.
So the naming of them is sexist.
Yeah, they've given them like bigoted names. My fucking browser is dog shit. Right, so scientists suggest sexism, nepotism, and cronyism is rife when it comes to naming new species of blood-sucking parasitic creatures. Parasitic worms have been sucked into the gender bias row after a report claimed the naming of the creatures was sexist. A team of scientists led by parasitologist Robert Paulin scoured studies in 8 journals published between 2000 and 2020. Around 2,900 species were discovered during that period, with 200 in 2007 alone. However, of the 596 species named after eminent scientists, only 111, or 19%, recognised women, according to the experts from New Zealand's University of Otago. And of 71 scientists honoured in the Latin names of 2 or more species, only 8 were women. 8 scientists who had lent their names to 6 or more species were men. We found consistent gender bias among species named out. Maybe it's the people discovering them. Just maybe it is.
Maybe it's because the people discovering them were all men. And the percentage that were named after women was because they named it after their own wives. And if you discover a new species, you can name it whatever the fuck you want.
Dickheads. Absolute fucking dickheads.
This is just I'm written by some two-haired lesbian.
Yeah, fucking miserable bastards, aren't they? Oh dear. Right, so I think I'm about done. Right, it's nearly 9 o'clock. I'm done. I'm knackered. Night all.
Night.
Stay spooky.